Yo, what is going on, lads, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to this brand new video here on the channel, where today we'll be taking a dive into a detailed guide on how to become a pro zombies player in preparation for Call of Duty Cold War. Now, the idea behind this video stems from a tweet from Geeky Pastimes in which he essentially asked for a video on this very subject. Now, parts of this guide are aimed at beginners just starting out, and other parts are dedicated to those intermediate players who want to amp up their skills further. So I urge you guys to check the timestamps below to skip to the parts that you need to know. So the first segment we'll be talking about today is the setup process. In Call of Duty Zombies, there are numerous tools that players can use to aid their survival. Each modern zombies map have different means of accessing these tools, but the core principles remain the same. Unlocking the power will grant you access to various traps for killing zombies as well as perks, and Call of Duty Cold War marks the fan favorite return of Juggernog, which is a perk that gives you more health, which is of course an obvious advantage. Speed Cola increases reload speed, Stamina allows you to run faster, and so on. Each Treyarch Zombies game have different perks that you can read the effects of and understand which would best aid your playstyle. But as you can imagine, these are the foundation of any stable attempt at zombies, and so they should be a priority. Now, the weapons in a zombies map are typically obtained in two ways: via chalk buys placed on walls and via the mystery box. With wall buys, though they only provide basic weapons, do offer the advantage of being able to purchase ammunition whenever you like by returning back to the chalk on the wall and interacting with it. Mystery box exclusive weapons, however, can include extremely powerful wonder weapons, as well as weapons far worse than what you find on the walls, but most notably, none of these weapons allow you to purchase ammo whenever you like, and so you're instead left waiting for the luck of a max ammo drop. Therefore, a common setup among pro zombies players is to have one powerful box exclusive weapon and one decent wall buy weapon. Now, each map, with the exception of 3 from way back in Call of Duty World at War, have a means to access a machine to upgrade your weapon, dubbed the Pack-a-Punch. Each weapon gets a buff in damage, some of which being granted completely new abilities when placed in this machine. In the past, starting pistols are commonly converted into high explosive grenade launchers, and some weapons allow new firing modes and more. The cool thing about the Pack-a-Punch is that historically at least, it's capable of turning the most unpredictable weapons into absolute horde killers. And this rolls over to ammo mods. So ammo mods, or alternate ammo types, give your weapons that little extra kick in power. In Cold War, it seems that this is acquired differently via elemental pop, but in the cases of Black Ops 3 and 4, these ammo mods are obtained by repeatedly pack-a-punching a single weapon. Depending on Treyarch's approach with Cold War, this can either be an essential part of survival or a fun little extra. But in the case of Black Ops 3, Blast Furnace and Deadwire were capable of converting any basic weapon into overpowered monsters, capable of wiping out entire crowds with a single shot. Therefore, it's worth keeping an eye on ammo types going into Cold War. Other parts of the setup process vary from map to map, but they often include buildable shields that will cover you from behind, specialist weaponry that you can use in dire situations, and also forms of transportation that allow you to quickly escape or traverse the map as quickly as possible. Modern Treyarch Zombies titles also feature some form of consumables. These are little enhancements that you can read up on in the menus that have both subtle and profound effects in aiding your survival. Now, there's two very simple tips that may help you set up for a full game of zombies in a faster or less stressful way. One tip is to start by using an underpowered SMG to rack up points faster. Hitting a zombie with a bullet grants 10 points. The more bullets you slap into the hordes, the more points you earn, and so rounding up a bunch and unloading a full clip will definitely get you the points you need much faster. The second tip, if necessary, is to leave one zombie at the end of the round to give you the breathing room you need to go and do what you need to do without getting swarmed. So setting up in zombies simply means to acquire the perks, the firepower, and enough of the map's features to be comfortable enough to survive and progress either into the high rounds or into the main Easter egg quest. Now, that covers the bare basics of what you need to know about Call of Duty Zombies when it comes to getting yourself in a position ready to fight. So now comes the next segment, which is survival. The first thing about survival is priorities. For example, there's a comically large amount of players in zombies who will focus on spending all of their money spinning the box to try and get dummy thick firepower as early as possible. This inevitably often gets them killed because they're left with no points and they get swarmed without protection. The way to prioritize is to focus on getting one decent weapon and getting those perks nice and early, as well as opening the map to a spot where you feel comfortable training the hordes, which is a process that we will touch on shortly. Wall weapons are a great bet to get some decent firepower early enough to get you to the perks you need. Once you've secured the armor, the perks, and the simple aids that will protect you, you'll be in a decent position then to go ahead and try and boost your loadout with those fancy weapons and upgrades. But priorities also extend over to the next tip, which is to analyze the situation. One of the key differences between a pro zombies player and a player that will consistently go down is their ability to assess different scenarios. Let me run you through a few few examples. You're on round 25. A fire sale drops which would allow players to spin the box for only 10 points. A great time to get the firepower you need. Now a pro player will look at the loadout they have, where the boxes are situated, and ask themselves, can I protect myself whilst I use the box? If it's a no, then they leave the fire sale in peace and focus on just staying alive. An amateur would run straight to the box, often in an awkward location, finally get the weapon they were after and get downed before they can even pick it up. And this segues straight into the next example in the same scenario. The amateur player who's now down is in a place that's narrow and full of spawn positions of zombies. The pro player again would analyze if they have the firepower or means to distract the zombies enough to go ahead and get the revive. A less experienced player will run heroically straight to the aid of the fallen teammate and often fall with them in the process. This is why you see tons of Reddit posts showing scoreboards of players literally with hundreds of revives. Remember that if all players in the game are down at the same time, it's game over, so do assess the situation before you act. A final example ties into the next tip, which is know your map. Learning a map greatly helps you last longer, as you can predict where the zombies are coming from, where to find the tools you need to survive, and also how to progress through your game much faster. In this example, we'll focus on the fact that every zombies map has specific spawn locations that zombies will come from. If you are able to assess which angles your enemies can come from, you can adapt accordingly to reduce your risk of dying. Take for example this scene in the Giant. In this room, zombies can descend from this staircase. Now if you already have a horde behind you and a zombie blocks you whilst you're trying to go up the staircase, you'll be closed in and you'll be dead in an instant, unless luckily you have a means of an immediate escape. But knowing your map well enough will prevent you from making those lethal mistakes that could otherwise be easily avoided. But now let's just talk about that main skill required to hit the high rounds in zombies. Training. Training is effectively the art of manipulating the pathing of the horde in a way that gives you full control of their movement. By becoming skilled at training, you effectively put yourself in a position to reach the high rounds, and when coupled with the other tips I provided in this guide, essentially become a pro zombies player. Now many videos out there will describe technicalities, different types of train, different shapes and so on, but I personally think it boils down to one simple thing: utilizing space. Spatial awareness, when coupled with the previous tip of knowing your map, will lay the foundation of effective training right there in front of you. From that point, it's gaining experience of seeing how the zombies move and how best to maneuver the crowds of undead depending on the space around you. Now in zombies, there is a limit to how many zombies can be spawned in any given time, and so typically the aim is to gather them all up in a nice tight cluster by using a large open space to run around in, and then wait to make sure that no more are spawning before killing them all in one go and preparing to round them all up again and rinse and repeat. The zombies are often moving at different speeds, and so this is where understanding how to utilize space and gather them up in an efficient and effective manner comes in, whilst calling on your map knowledge to ensure that you don't allow yourself to walk headfirst into a sticky situation. For example, here in the Giant, I am training in the spawn room. I can see that running circles may not work right at this moment, and so I need to improvise. What I do is I move in almost a zigzag-like fashion down this path to ensure that all zombies are close behind me together instead of a long spread line. The zigzagging movement allows slower zombies to jog straight towards me and catch up with the faster zombies that are being slowed down by having to zigzag right behind me. With them all bunched as tightly as possible behind me, I can now run up to the bank on the side to jet past the horde and get back to the main training point consistently without dying. With this process, it's all about experience, knowledge, and common sense. But here's two extra tips that will definitely help keep you alive. One ties into knowing your map, and that's leaving certain doors closed. This is another way of manipulating spawns of zombies in your favor. By leaving certain doors closed, you of course prevent any incoming zombies from that location. For example, I simply would not have survived that scene I just showed in the Giant if the door atop the ramp to my left was open. Three more examples include the door to the side of the stage in Situtation, the help door of Nachtdorn Toten, and the quick revive door in Ascension. Leaving certain doors closed helps tenfold. The other tip is to always have your most powerful weapon out in your hands whilst you round up the hordes. Only when you're ready to shoot should you then use your weapon of choice. This is just so that you can prevent any unexpected calamities, as you can simply destroy any potential dangers. But now that you're armed with all of this knowledge, we can head into the final segment of this video: refining your skills. To help refine your skills, I'll be laying out a few ideas for various different types of player. First, let's talk about good places to practice training before Cold War within Black Ops 3 Zombie Chronicles. I'll provide 5 different stages of increasing difficulty as recommended spots on maps that don't have a long setup, so that you can get stuck in with practicing as soon as possible. So stage 1 for beginners would be the PhD or Widow's Wine Lunar Lander section of Ascension. This is a nice large open square that acts as a great place to get to grips with gathering up the hordes. It features an immediate means of escape via the lunar lander, and it's on a map that contains the thunder gun, which is a perfect weapon to clear up any errors that are made along the way. Stage 2, also for beginners, would be the rear mid-section of the biodome in Moon, another large-scale area that will allow you to round up zombies comfortably, whilst also dealing with the occasional Nova Crawler or Spaceman. Stage 3 would be the classic stage area of Situtation, as it handles more entry points and more Nova Crawlers to add a slight touch of challenge for the inexperienced. Now stage 4 is for more intermediate players, and it's the bottom of the stairs down from Juggernog in Ascension with the spawn door closed. This is a slightly tighter area with a more interesting challenge of facing zombie spawns from two directly opposing sides. And finally, to get to a really good level of training, we have stage 5, which is strictly the back gate section of the alleyway in Situtation with the gate closed. It's a really tight square with two aggressive entry points for zombies, so it should be a really good challenge. It also happens to be one of the fastest training spots to get to a high round within this map. A good practice location for players without DLC for Black Ops 3 would be outside of the Ruby Rabbit in Shadows of Evil. Now for anyone who finds these spots way too easy, the next stage to improve your skills is to handicap yourself. This can be done in a multitude of ways, such as restricting yourself from buying perks, not allowing any use of wonder weapons or consumables, using completely underpowered weapons, or by training in much harder spots in older, more unforgiving zombies games like Call of Duty World at War and Black Ops 1. Of course, you could just do the hard and fast method of just doing a simple first room challenge where you don't open any doors and are forced to use the underpowered weapons found in the starting area. By doing these things, you obviously give yourself the hard task of surviving in a much more restricted circumstance, and so when it comes to playing a serious game with no handicaps at all, it simply becomes a walk in the park. But that, lads, ladies and gentlemen, is my guide to going from amateur to pro in Call of Duty Zombies. It's not a one-night job, so do get all of the experience you can ahead of Cold War to be best prepared for what lies ahead. I do hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.